This is the Fitness Wisdom Podcast.
Hello and welcome back to another exciting episode of the Fitness Wisdom Podcast. Today I'm joined by Natalie Collier. She's a circadian health coach, and we're going to be talking about her overcoming her addiction today and also getting over a severe thyroid condition as well. You managed to lose a ton of weight as well. So you've managed to overcome a lot of things just by using the power of light. And of course, I can imagine many other lifestyle factors as well. But you're also into growing your own food. You kind of have a regenerative farm on your own home, right? So I think it would be really cool to get into all of that today. So welcome to the show, Natalie. Thank you for being here.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So let's start off with your journey then into introducing yourself to the world of circadian and quantum biology. How did you come across this work in the first place? And if you can tie that into you overcoming your addiction with alcohol.
Yeah. So I've been on a health journey since I was 20 years old and found myself pregnant with my first baby. And I started like, what is organic and what is going in my body? And kind of went down the normal greenwashed organic path, very label conscious, and kind of always loved health and wellness, but didn't really know the deeper realms of it. So I stayed on that path for most of my adulthood. And I found myself about 5 years ago, my mom got really sick and with Lewy body dementia that was brought on by severe mold toxicity. And during that time, all of my organic hacks, like, oh, just, stay away from chemicals. Let's eat paleo. Let's just move a little bit more. None of them were working. And I had Hashimoto's and it was like through the roof. My antibodies were in the tens of thousands of %. And I was getting sicker as she was dying, to be honest. And we lived on a regenerative homestead. We had planted over 1,000 natives at the time, and we had like an organic berry patch, and we were doing hugelkultur, and it was absolutely beautiful. We had chickens and ducks and turkeys, and I would walk the land all the time. And that's when I started to kind of tune into circadian cycles. And I thought, this is so neat that these animals just intuitively know what to do at the right time every day. And so when my mom when she finally passed, I was 50 pounds bigger than I was before she got sick. Like I said, the Hashimoto's was through the roof, brain fog, my hormones. I think that the last time I had blood work during that season, my estrogen was like a menopausal woman. Like it was so bad. I had a little bald spot on my head, and I didn't know what to do. And someone said, you should watch the sunrise. And I'm like, that's not going to do shit, but we'll try it because we're desperate.
Yeah.
And so I'd get out there when the rooster was waking up, and where we were living, we could see this little Appalachian foothill view. And it just felt so true to me, sitting out there and absorbing. Something was just so soothing. And I would even squint, I remember in the early days, and see like the full spectrum of the colors.
Yes, like a rainbow.
Yes. I was like, there's something so grounding about it. And I noticed that I was a little less tired during the day. And I'm one of those all or nothing people. I'm an Enneagram 7, wing 8. If I go in, I'm in. So I was like, I'm watching the sunrise every day. And that quickly led to sunbathing without clothes. Because again, it was a rural Georgia homestead. You can do whatever you want. Mailman comes, you throw the blanket over yourself, and you're like, well, it's fine. We're good. And my friends would text me and ask me what I was doing. And I said I was being, maybe I shouldn't even tell this yet. It's where the name of my movement came from.
Yes.
Should I even mention that yet?
Let's mention it later on.
Okay.
Continue down your story.
Okay, so as these things were happening, I was realizing that there was this deep divine intuition that was awakening in me as I was syncing up with circadian cycles. And all of a sudden, I felt intuitively like the years before this moment, I didn't know what I needed. And I was like, oh, I know what I need. I need the sunrise. I need my feet on the earth. I need to feel the wet grass. I need to slow down outside. I need to bring my exercise outdoors. Like it was just all of a sudden, it began to just awaken what was real inside of me. And I started to see the weight go down, and I started to see the thyroid antibodies calm, and my hair started growing back. And at that time, I became a holistic health and life coach. And I was like, oh, this is more true than any health, fad I've ever been a part of. This is the missing piece, why so many
Yeah.
people think they're doing it right and living holistic, but they don't
Yes.
have their source. They don't have the source.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
and the rest is history. I haven't stopped living that way.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing your journey into circadian and
Yeah.
quantum biology. It's truly incredible because when you realize that when you, as you said, when you observe nature, everything happens automatically. It's not like you have to tell a duck or a chicken that they need to be outside or they need to wake up with the sunrise or what kind of food to eat or what time of the day should they be
Right.
eating. They just do it
Yeah.
automatically out of habit. It's only as human beings, just because we have the capacity because of our frontal lobes, we can break nature's laws. And that leads us to a host,
Yes.
loads of issues. And so I can imagine also the emotional burden that you had because of your mother's condition as
Yeah.
well. That must have led or contributed a lot to your own autoimmune condition with your thyroid and also with your
Yeah.
weight gain, because we know that how trauma can massively influence the fascial system of the body, the nervous system
Yes.
state, and how then that can impact your inflammation in your body. And it can go like this, kind of like a cascade. And so
Yes.
basically you were talked a little bit about the alcohol, but you didn't really get into how you overcame the addiction. How did the circadian rhythms help you overcome addiction? Like how did you find it helpful? Was it something that you were doing? Were you drinking alcohol while you started doing the sunrise and all the circadian things, or did you kind of quit it all and start the circadian things at the same time? What was your strategy?
Well, ironically, I decided I would stop having alcohol in 2020 before
Mm-hmm.
all of the shit hit the fan,
Yeah.
everything. And
Mm-hmm.
and I remained true to my promise. But what
Uh-huh.
was wild is I realized that what was such a driver to my drinking, and it wasn't every day, but it was too much when I had it. What was the
Mm,
driver is this, like, I don't know what I need. What do I need?
mm,
I think I need a rest. Okay, well, then that means I'll sit on the porch and drink. Like, I didn't know what I needed. So as I
mm,
rooted my circadian rhythm more, alcohol is just less appealing. It's like, I don't need that. That was such an
mm,
illusion of rest
mm,
and relaxation. And it's not like, it became completely less appealing. And now it's been 5.5 years and it's not even a thought in my mind. It feels like it was the most shameful thing in my adult life. Like, why would I continually habitually bring myself in this shame cycle? And so to
mm.
give it up was just such a good yes, to embody, like, okay, this is who I am and this is the expression of me, and I don't need that. I don't need that.
If there was one substance that could increase your energy levels, optimize mitochondrial function, boost ATP production, help to optimize your hormones, remineralize the body with ionic minerals, boost cognitive function, assist detoxification, and support your gut health via the microbiome, this substance is shilajit, known as the destroyer of weakness. Shilajit is a herbomineral substance made from the decomposition of plants and bacteria, this process taking place over thousands of years. It is harvested from high altitude locations, primarily the Altai and Himalayan mountains. And what makes shilajit so unique is that it's made by Mother Nature herself. I call it nature's methylene blue. Not all shilajit that you find on the market is created equally. This is why I only use and trust Mountain Drop shilajit. They have an extremely high quality shilajit product that has been rigorously tested for heavy metals and impurities. Grab yourself some shilajit, the destroyer of weakness, today and head over to mountaindrop.com. Use the promo code mobilityfitness at checkout for a nice discount as well.
Well, that's amazing that you're able to give it up, so fast and so easy, because so many people have such struggle to give up, alcohol or drugs or any kind of addiction that we are facing these days, because it is tied to the dopamine centers in our brain.
Yeah.
And so when our dopamine dips down, then we want to keep on doing that thing that makes us feel good, because the alcohol and the phones and the drugs and the porn and the sugar, it makes us feel good temporarily. But then once our dopamine crashes, our brain now is searching for that next dopamine hit. So it's absolutely incredible, because that means that you were able to use circadian biology, the basically sunlight and the earth and the nighttime, to rewire your own dopamine centers, which actually made it easier for you to overcome addiction. Would you agree?
100%. And I'm really glad you worded it that way, because I think one of my biggest dreams with what I'm doing right now is to show people, like, you are chasing something that intuitively is because you're a circadian being. Like all these things, what you
Mm,
just mentioned, screens and alcohol and all these little hits of dopamine, it's like your
uh,
soul is longing for a deeper connection. And if you
mm,
find it, the other will not hold a candle to it. There's nothing more
mm,
real than being fully alive and awakened by the real rhythms of the earth and how you are a part of that.
So you're actually saying that purpose is so important, basically, like
Yeah.
having a purpose on a daily basis beyond like your job and beyond, of course, your family is important, but to have this purpose inside for yourself, like why do you wake up in the morning? Of course, having a family is a massive motivator, right? Having children
Hmm.
and having a farm and all of this is a massive motivator, but there has to be also an internal drive for you to live on a daily
Yes.
basis. And
Yes.
if you don't feel good inside, you can't be good to other people around you. Well, I can
Yes.
say that for myself. You know, if I don't feel good,
Hmm.
I can't, I just feel like crap. So I don't feel like
Yeah.
treating others well. So I'd rather
Right.
stay inside and, close myself and become more like inward focused rather than, outward
Right.
giving. So this is why it's so important, as you're saying, is to find a purpose in life. And one of the primary purposes that we have as human beings is to be in connection with nature, because that's what we did naturally
Yeah.
for thousands of years. As we said, that the animals do this automatically. We're also animals. We never evolved to be in an indoor environment,
Right.
in devoid of natural light, full spectrum light, and exposed to artificial, spectrums of light. So maybe you
Yeah.
can tell me, since we're on this topic of addiction, in this day and age, you see a lot of people using tech, and especially young kids and teenagers.
Mhm.
Do you see any similarities like in addiction when you look at people, using their tech?
Oh, 100%. And we're very old school. Like we have 4 kids. Our oldest is almost 21 and he didn't have a phone in his hand till he was 16 years old and it had
That's amazing.
no internet whatsoever. It was you're going to be able to text your friends and check your email, buddy. And he was not happy. We always tell our kids like, "Oh, cry me a little first world river." I'm sorry. That's we're just trying to keep you awake, man. But
Wow.
yeah, we definitely noticed the connection. And it's funny when we go camping with our kids and there's no cell service, everyone's vibrations higher. All of a sudden, everyone's kinder and there's more creative energy.
Mm,
And
mm,
I really it's a big deal to me and I could talk a whole lot about it. I won't go too deep into it, but I believe it's very intentional that we are creating these dopamine dependent societies and I believe when people get that full expression of their circadian rhythm in their body, whatever they're
mm-hmm,
made to do, whatever their
mm-hmm,
divine purpose is, will begin to emerge and I
mm,
believe it's very purposeful that they stay in the loop of capitalism and they stay in the loop of I'm on the phone and I'm ordering this and I'm eating food with a low vibration and I'm not getting my charge with my sunlight. And those
mm,
people are very easy to control. And I believe that
mm.
if you want to know who you really are and if you want to know what is your beautiful expression on the earth, what your purpose is, then you align your circadian rhythm and you'll begin to have it revealed to you. You'll know.
Wow. You can go as deep as you want. I'm loving this,
Okay.
I'm all about going into this stuff,
Yeah.
that people don't
Yeah.
want to talk about, because this is the
Yeah.
stuff that we need to talk about, that we need to bring to awareness. We all act like, me and you, for example, and people who are like-minded, we know all this stuff, right? But we don't
Mhm.
share it out publicly because we think that other people will think that we're crazy. But to
Yes.
be honest, like the crazy thinkers are the ones who actually change the world. So you need to
100%.
share
Yes.
your thoughts and ideas out there, because somebody's going to hear this podcast and they're going to get inspired and they're going to start questioning their reality. And this is
Mm.
actually one of my purpose, through the podcast, is to make you question your reality, make you question everything about the food system, the medical system, the fitness industry, everything, and so that you can
Yes.
come a full circle and reclaim
Mhm.
your power, basically what you're talking about, right? So maybe
Yes.
tell me a little bit about, did you also live with your mother in the moldy home where she was as well?
No, but she ended up moving out close to where we lived.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I didn't live with her in that house. Yeah.
So you didn't have any kind of mold exposure yourself?
I don't think I did, but I believe that we're always in this day and age exposed to mold and heavy metals.
Yes.
Again,
Yes.
feels purposeful. Just gonna leave that there. Also, why circadian rhythm's so important.
Mm. Well, why do you think it's purposeful? Like, what do you mean
Uh,
by that?
I think it collectively lowers the overall vibration. of our oneness.
Hmm.
I think it keeps us asleep. I think it keeps us dependent on big pharma, because if we're feeling like
Mm.
shit, what are we taught to do? We're indoctrinated to go to a Western medical doctor and take something rather than to get curious and to even think about the idea. One of the biggest stats, facts, whatever you want to call it, truth illuminators for me was when I heard that every cell in my body has a light receptor. I was
Mm.
40 years old before I heard that. And I'm like, why is this not taught to a child that's 3 years old that is laying in the
Yeah.
sunshine intuitively? Why don't we
Mm.
instill that sacred truth in people? It feels very
Mm.
purposeful. We homeschooled for 13 years, and we wanted to raise critical thinkers. And
Amazing.
our kids dabbled in public here and there. Our girls have not at all, because we've just gotten progressively weirder over the years. We're like, you're
Or
good.
wiser.
You're yeah, we're like, you're fine. But there's so much about our body that we don't know. And I'm like, how is that possible that we walk around with a million miracles all day long happening in our body, and we don't even know that we are governed by light? Like, why
Mm.
why is that not on every stop sign in the world? Hey, take a moment and breathe and know that the sunlight is healing you as you breathe. Like, we don't
That's
teach
beautiful.
that. And I just feel like if people knew, I think that people right now, morale in the whole world is so low. Like, people don't
Mm.
understand their own divinity and their own power and what is possibly within them, because
Mm.
it's like I was thinking about phones the other day. I'm like, people charge their phone incessantly. That's why in the
Yeah.
airport, you can just real quick charge your phone. And we
Yeah.
live divorced from our charge most of our lives. Like, how
Yeah.
ridiculous. Like, just as literal as that is, that's ridiculous. But we're not taught it. And then we're under these
Mm.
blue lights. And when you learn about how dehydrating and how it can mutate your cells, these blue lights, and age you, it's shocking to think,
Mm.
like, again, why is the light like that? Why is it not
Mm.
warm light? Why did we do away with
Mm.
incandescent bulbs? Why are those hard to find now, incandescent bulb? Like, when you just start to piece these things together and look up skin
Great
cancer rates.
questions.
Yeah, melanoma. Why is melanoma the lowest around the equator where the sun is most abundant? And why is it most prevalent in areas with not enough sun? Like, we need to be asking, we deserve answers to these questions. And
Yes.
I'm out to raise awareness on that. I feel like I'm a bridge from people like you that are incredibly intelligent and well schooled on these things. And I'm like, I'm just kind of wild and passionate about it. I can lead people towards y'all, and then y'all can educate them in a more scholarly way. That's how I feel.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
nice to know the science behind things, but what you are teaching is very important. It's for people how to do the thing, right?
Hmm.
Like we said, it's not so important about what's actually happening on a cellular level. More important is actually to do the practice, really. And you don't
Hmm.
need to know why you're doing the practice. Just
Yes.
do it because
Yes.
that's, that intuitively it feels right.
Hmm.
So when you look at somebody who is you talked about high vibrational state versus low vibrational state. Talk to me a little bit about some symptoms or effects rather, or how would you associate somebody who has a low vibrational state? How can you identify someone, and how does a high vibrational state being look like, talk like, move like? Give me a little bit few descriptions so people can actually understand what you're talking about.
Okay, when I say low vibration, when I was living in a perpetual low vibration during that time with my mom, it was my body did not have any cue on how to wake up in the morning. It was exhausted whether I went to bed at 10 or 1 a.m. It was exhausted until 9, and at 9 I forcefully had to open my eyes. And it felt like
Mm.
this is the worst thing I've ever done, to open my eyes right now. Whereas when
Okay.
I started to tune in with circadian rhythm and raise that vibration, 90% of the mornings my eyes just open. And I'm like, I'm good.
Mm.
I'm good. This is wild. And
Wow.
even that, again, that's very American and very Western, that we joke. Like, we're like, well, we're all just exhausted. That's not natural. Like, that's not natural to always be
Yeah.
exhausted. But we've been conditioned, and I would dare say programmed, that the narrative is we're just always tired. If you're an adult, you're tired. And it's like, but that
Mm.
really actually isn't the case. I think
Yeah.
another sign of low vibration is when you just have no idea what you need. I had no idea what
Mm.
I needed. I was just taking weird supplements, and maybe I'll do this cleanse. And there was no voice inside of me that was guiding me. And I feel like the more rooted the circadian rhythm got, it was like
Yeah.
intuitively, no, I need this. I don't need this. I need more of this thing. I need a lot less of this. And I want to give up this other thing altogether. And I think the thing that people, I believe so deeply in it, because every person, every client I've had that I've walked through what I would call, I'm about to open up an initiation, and I used to have it. It was called a challenge, but every single person that has walked through it now lives that way by choice,
Amazing.
because it's true. And I think that's the thing that I'm so captured by. It's like, it's not just
Yeah.
my truth. I think that our generation has been,
Yes.
oh, you'll have your truth. No. I'm like, the universal truth of reality
Yes.
is that you are a
Yes.
circadian being above all else.
Yes.
And you need this to thrive. And so when people feel it, it's almost like it is an awakening. And then it's like, that is what, it gives me chills and makes me emotional. It's like, that is what my dream is. It's like, I don't want to just tell you some cool ways to live and get you on an emotional high. And then, wow, it lasted 12 days. It felt good. I want you to
Yeah.
possess the wisdom that is within you. And I want it to awaken. And then it will be yours. Then you can do what you want with it. And so far, every single person, I have a woman that started it, and she was like, I was having night sweats, hot flashes, and she said, I haven't had any in 3 weeks. And my doctor's like,
Amazing.
you're kidding me. This can't be. She's sleeping through the night. Like, over and over. It just works. Like, it meets you where you are, and it begins to wake you up and heal you.
And it's so simple, right? Because again, like, it's just simply reconnecting with nature and remembering, reawakening your reality. Like exactly what you said, it's rooted in reality and truth based on what nature is doing, and nature doesn't lie, right? It always has the answers if we just simply look at what the cyclical nature of the seasons, for example, the types of fruits and vegetables that nature provides. It's not by accident. You know, the sun hits the trees, and then eventually you have orangers in the wintertime. You know, it takes like an entire like cycle for you to develop these fruits or vegetables. The same is with a human being. We also have cycles. And I feel like with modern life, we've disrespected those cycles, and we actually need those cycles in order to honor our biology and to repair and regenerate. But we're just constantly stuck in this catabolic state, which is breaking down, but we're never repairing, we're never building, which is basically when we sleep or when we have like high melatonin in our body. In the wintertime, for example, why, like, as human beings, we're supposed to sleep more because the sun sets earlier and it also rises later. So that means that by design, nature intended that you have more melatonin in your blood in a 24-hour cycle compared to the summertime. But you need to ask yourself the question, why is that? You know, why is that? Because in the summertime, you have way more light. It's way more stressful on the body. So now your body needs to go under extreme repair to get ready for the next summertime. This is the beauty of the cycles. Like if you do not honor these cycles, basically you keep on digging a hole that you can't get out of. And then eventually you develop something like an autoimmune condition or some kind of other disease, you know, diabetes or anything like this, any kind of condition you can develop. It just depends on the individual. And so, like it's so important to really honor the cycles and nature. And it's really cool that you were already kind of in tune by doing your homesteading, right? You were sort of in tune by doing this. I'm just wondering, like, how did your life look like before? Because you said before you were living a very natural life. You were doing the organic things. You were doing all the things. How was it so that you missed this piece? Like, I wouldn't say like on purpose, but it's almost like by accident, because if you were, you know, taking care of the animals and all this kind of stuff, it forces you to wake up with the sunrise and do all the things, no?
It does, but there are ways around that when you're a lazy homesteader. So it was like, oh, wow, I hear the rooster out there for the last hour and a half. I'm not opening that coop yet. I'm going to lay in this bed. Yeah. So there are little ways, but I've looked back, like I was drinking coffee on an empty stomach. And personally, as a female, I think that is very dysregulating. Just personally, that's my opinion.
What's happening? What's happening there? Why should people not drink coffee first thing in the morning?
You are spiking your cortisol, and a woman is much more sensitive to that kind of stress response. And you're flooding your body with stress hormones and putting putting your system in fight or flight before you've even walked around and enjoyed your day, which will set you up nicely for that 3 p.m. crash that, again, is just understood. We adults are just perpetually tired with the 3 p.m. crash. Like, I don't get that way anymore. It's like, guys, this is a line of shit. This is not real.
Yeah.
This is not how we really are. So I was definitely doing that. I was having way too much sugar, and I was staying up late on the blue light. I think that's my biggest one. It was like it got dark and I would be on my phone. And then I wondered why it took me forever to go to sleep. We added a grounding mat to our bed, and we got really hardcore about turning off Wi-Fi at night, phones on airplane mode, far away, really getting the room dark, very practical things. But again, you will feel the change. It's not just like, it's good. You will feel how much better. And I do think most people have never felt what it feels like to live fully alive like that. Like we just, you take these teenagers through the classic institutionalized education, you run them under blue light for 13 years, then you put them in college and they're stressed about money, and they get out and it's just this race the entire way. And all of it is divorced from circadian rhythm. Like there's no honor to it whatsoever. And we wonder why we're all so sick.
Yeah.
Light influences every single system of your body, from mood, skin health, cognition, energy levels, gut health, sexual function, training performance, recovery, wound healing, body composition, and so much more. This is why I make sure to block the harmful artificial blue light and expose myself to the beneficial wavelengths of light to optimize my biology. Upgrade your biology today by upgrading your light environment. Head over to emrtech.com/mobilityfitness and use the promo code mobilityfitness for a massive 20% discount at checkout for the best red light therapy panels on the market and the best blue light blocking glasses.
It ages you so fast, as you mentioned previously. Like the blue light itself accelerates aging just because it spikes the cortisol, just like coffee does, as you mentioned. So I say to people all the time, you wouldn't drink coffee the entire day, so why would you be exposed to artificial blue light the entire day? Because it's basically like drinking coffee, because it's constantly spiking your cortisol, putting you in this fight and flight state, and your body doesn't heal, regenerate, and repair and detoxify in a sympathetic state. When you're running away from a tiger, an invisible threat, which is the blue light, your body doesn't care about healing. But it's only in a parasympathetic state, when you are calm and you are feeling like you have a purpose in life, that gives you this feeling, of awareness and stillness. And that is the moment where your body can start to do its magic. And you don't need to know like what it's doing. It just knows intuitively what to do. There is this innate inbuilt mechanism, this wisdom that exists within the body. And you are basically teaching people how to activate this wisdom, basically.
That is the great hope. Yes.
Awesome. And so who was the person who actually turned you on to the watching the sunrise?
I feel like I saw just a silly Instagram clip. I can't even remember who it was from, but then I heard about a very niche book. And I will say a life tip for everybody watching. If you hear about a book that looks self-published and you find a couple of spelling errors, it's probably a piece of gold. I just have to say, so many books I've read that changed my life. It was that How to Heal with Sunlight. And it's this tiny little book, self-published. There were a couple of spelling errors, but the information was so rich. And I was hooked. Like I was just highlighting over and over. And I think his name might be Andreas. I'm going to have to send it to you after this. But it was like, oh my God, this makes sense. And talks about the pineal gland and stimulating the third eye and how the sunrise and the sunset have that in common, and how Cleopatra knew that. And so she was so beautiful because she gazed on the sunrise and the sunset. And it was so captivating, and it just made sense. It was like, oh, this is why I've tried so hard. And that's why I really also wanted to get this message to people. It's like, I'm not telling you to try harder. I'm telling you to realign with your own reality inside yourself. Like this is not 800 things you need to add to your very stressed out day. This is actually take 800 off of your day and worship the sun, and let me know how it goes.
Yeah, I love it how you keep on bringing it back to finding your purpose with realigning with nature, because that is, I think, like one of the very important things that we need to take the time to do every single day. I think a lot of people, they believe that they don't have time to, get in nature, get in sunlight, but everyone has 5 minutes or 10 minutes of their day here and there where you can devote to realigning your circadian rhythm and, just telling your body what time of day it is, getting the grounding. if you actually want it, there is always a way, right? If there is a will, there is a way. But if you actually don't want it, you're not going to make it happen. And it just takes, of course, a little bit of effort in getting used to, for example, waking up with the sunrise. I remember when I started doing it, it was super hard for me. I always used to be really tired in the morning. But at the beginning, it takes a little bit of effort to get used to it, to getting up in the morning. Once you start doing it, though, and you honor the nighttime specifically, then the waking up in the morning time becomes a lot easier. And especially if you're relaxing and having that downtime in the evening, because it's not enough for people to, dim their lights, turn them red or whatever, not be exposed to Wi-Fi. You need to also relax in the evening, right? If you're not relaxing, if you're doing stressful things under red light, it's not going to change much because your cortisol is still high, right? You need to calm down. Of course, it's going to help massively. I'm not saying that it's not going to help, but it's better if you have some practices like meditation, breathing. You have sort of like a bit of a evening ritual, which is what I like to do myself. I have a specific routine that I do in the evening, which always makes me feel good. And it's always, it's guaranteed because I've learned a specific way of doing that makes me feel good. For someone else, it might not, and everyone needs to find that little sort of ritual which programs your brain and your body to understand that once you get to the last step, you're supposed to feel really tired. So for me, it's like, the last thing is, I think, drinking my cacao drink, the last thing in the evening. Once I have that, that's it. Like, even though I've got some stuff to do in the house, like do some dishes or some dishes or whatever, I just feel like my body just doesn't want to move. It just feels like that melatonin floods my body. It's because I've built this routine and ritual. Do you also have some routine and ritual that you want to share with us, your evening routine?
I do. My favorite is my morning routine, my evening one, because I have older kids. It's like so often I'll have my red light on. I love to read a book in bed, and I've already done skincare and told myself the loving truth in the mirror. But then kids come in, and it's like nighttime is their truth serum. They sit on the end of the bed, and they're like, "Let me tell you my soul." And you're like, "Oh, but okay." And so I'm not always like devoutly, dead asleep at 9:30.
Well, that can be very parasympathetic, though.
Yes, it's precious. Yes, and I'm like, I know this is a moment in time, and I'm okay with it. But like my sons, they actually live in an Airstream outside, and they're like, "Mom, you always have your lizard light on." And I'm like, I know, this is part of my thing. Like, for sure. But the morning is get out of bed and literally go straight outside. If it's cold, I don't give a damn. I'm out there, I'm looking at it, and I just do some loving, like lymphatic movements here, do some stretches, some weird stuff that would mess up the mic if I did it. And then I go in and I start making breakfast. And after breakfast, we have coffee back out in the sunshine. And that's how I start every morning. And like you said, it starts to be this loving ritual. And I think even rituals, that's been like ancient cultures forever had these rituals to root their day and to give their life purpose and infuse meaning into mundane things. We've lost that. And so I'm not convinced that people actually love their modern lifestyle. I don't believe if they were hooked up to a lie detector test that they really love it. Like, no, you are made for ritual. Like you're biologically wired to be drawn to these wonderful things that make life feel magical, that make life feel more ceremonial and cherished. And that is what I'm about. Like I love it and I crave it. And I believe that everyone, like you said, can find their expression of that. But I do believe everyone has it. Like I've heard people say they're not nature people. And I'm like, you are. But it just might be different than me. But you are a nature person because you're freaking born from nature. Like your cells are nature. Like I don't know if you remember, but you are nature, and you'll go back to nature.
Exactly. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, I was also going to say on the other end of the spectrum, you can have like what people are doing in modern life, as you said, they're a little bit conspiratorial now. You know that what they're doing, their rituals are a little bit more, you could say, unintended, like evil or programs, sort of like satanic, not intentionally, of course, but people have been programmed to do certain things in the way that the system has programmed them to do it, which could sort of awaken some dark force within them and then ruin their whole day and make them feel like crap and then make them reliant on exogenous sources of energy instead of finding the true purpose and endogenous source. I know that this is a bit of it's a massive rabbit hole, and of course I don't want to I don't want to put people off from listening
Yeah,
to this conversation,
sure.
to the true purpose of the
Yeah.
conversation, but I just kind of feel like it's important for people to be aware that maybe what you're doing is feeding some darker force or power. And basically what Natalie is saying is that you are needing to reconnect with nature, because that is reclaiming the healthy source of higher vibe power within you, right? To realize your true purpose. If you feel like you're not aware or present in your daily life, it means that your energy is sort of being sucked outwards like an octopus. You're giving your energy everywhere, but you're not like feeling yourself. Right. And this is basically what you're saying is literally reconnecting with nature allows you to embody yourself and to feel yourself. How am I feeling? And what you said at the beginning about you didn't know what you needed, and then nature nurtured you. It made you feel like, oh, this is what I needed. It made you feel good. It regulated your nervous system state, which regulates basically everything. And so if you're having a well-regulated system, now everything can work optimally and you can think clearly. You're not governed by some external force. You don't need someone to tell you how to make a decision, right? So let's go into a little bit about your weight loss journey and how that also ties into your with your autoimmune condition with your thyroid as well. So I can assume your weight gain was because of your thyroid. It could be a massive contributor, right? Because the thyroid regulates your metabolism massively.
I think it was everything.
Yeah. So tell me a bit about what were the things that actually helped you, drop all of that weight, and maybe tell the audience what was your weight then and what's your weight now, and what you're currently doing to assist yourself to get in great shape.
Yeah. So I do think it was everything. I think it's one of those perfect storms where I really don't know what was at the top there. It was the thyroid obviously is a huge metabolic determiner of what's going to happen. And it was absolutely off the charts. Like I had scar tissue on my thyroid. It was a whole thing. And that with the not knowing what I need. And at the time I was not having alcohol. So I was having organic candy, way too much.
Because it was organic.
Eating my feelings and knowing good and damn well it wasn't healthy. But I was like, you know what? We're staying sober and I'm going to keep eating this because I'm sad as shit. Okay. So that's just honesty. And so it was everything. It was messed up circadian rhythm, I think, is the number one. And then that led to my thyroid autoimmunity. And then all of that led to craving sugar at times where now it's another thing I tell people. There are times where I crave it. I used to crave it multiple times a day. Like I couldn't get enough. And now my body's just like, I don't want that. Like there are times when I want it. And when I want it, I go for it. And I don't feel guilty about it. And it's fine. But it went from daily to a few times a month. And I feel like that, again, it's one of those things people look at it and they're like, I would have to will myself to never. I'm like, no, align yourself with who you're really made to be in the proper cycles. And you'll begin to feel drawn to what you need to feel drawn to.
Wow.
I think one of the biggest changes was that sunrise, sunset. I viewed the sunrise every day. And then one of the biggest switches was I went from doing just cardio mostly with a little bit of strength training to I move heavy shit outside barefoot in the sunshine. And
that's amazing.
When it gets cold outside, sometimes I'll even still do it barefoot. It's just a
So
really
good.
big deal to me. And I love it. And I feel like the workout is better. I feel like my muscles are stronger out under the light. And
They
so when
are.
I started, and when I started doing that, and I just saw something recently about how the fascia and the, was it piezoelectric or piezo? How do you pronounce that?
Yes. Yeah, however you want. People call it different ways.
Well, that current running through the fascia, and when you stimulate muscle, that it's literally like just causing this enormous frequency, this huge charge. And I'm like, God, that makes sense. I've experienced that. And that when you experience it, you chase it. I mean, you want it because you feel the difference. And so I started to see weight start to creep off, and then those thyroid antibodies started to go down. And it was one of those, again, it felt very just like this wonderfully intuitive journey. It wasn't overnight. Like I think my body needed so many safe signals. And I think, again, when you make space for circadian rhythm, wherever you are in that season emotionally, whatever you need to begin to deal with will come forward. And it was like at the time for me, it was grief. Grounding my circadian rhythm gave me space to grieve and to like hold the pain in a way that it didn't overtake me. It was just like, I can experience this and I can be sad, but my body can feel safe in my sadness. And nature gave that to me. And so
Wow.
I think wherever you are, it meets you there, and you begin to see, because people truly don't have space to deal with their emotions right now because they're living in modern culture, dopamine addicted on their phone. You're right, you don't have space. You will, you can, but quite literally, you filled your life with low vibration stuff, so you don't have space. You're right.
Yes.
And so it's like one thing led to the other, and it was a long journey. Like I would say it took me close to 2 years, but also it was like I'd gone through so much sadness. I didn't only lose my mom, I lost relationship with my only sibling, and my dad was not around at all. There's a lot more there. So it was like complex, layered stuff.
Yes.
I got good therapy. I've always been a fan of good therapy. And I stopped weighing during those days when I was like around 200, because I was like, okay, we're in a new territory and it's not one that I like. We're gonna not acknowledge what the scale says. Okay, so my guess is I definitely was a little over 200 pounds, and now I'm around 150. I still would love, I would still love to lose some weight, because I can just feel. It's weird, as you lose weight and you're losing weight while you're moving your body. It's almost like I've seen these layers come off, and now I can see like, oh, now this skin is hanging in a way that it's about to also vanish. And so
amazing.
So I think there's more to do, and I just am feeling better and better. And so I'm like, let's go.
And how about your thyroid then? When did that fully recover? Is it like fully healed right now? Like how long did that take?
That was probably about a year and a half. So I was diagnosed when I was 30 with Hashimoto's. And I tried some random prescriptions for that for a very short time, even though that goes against how I am. And none of them touched it. And so I was already just doing home things to try to be supportive. But I haven't gotten it tested in the last 6 months. I'm actually getting blood work next month to see it. But the last time I had it tested, it had gone from in the tens of thousands of % to the single digits for the antibodies.
Wow.
So that was like, that was shocking.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Incredible. Yeah. So basically you mentioned there for your weight loss, you mentioned the sunrise and, honoring nature and the circadian rhythms, like moving outside. That was like a big deal for you. Grounding. That sounds like it was super important for you. Like how important do you think grounding is, when it comes to overall health and well-being? Like if someone doesn't ground, what are they missing out on?
I would say grounding is just as important as the sunrise. I feel like there's not a human being living in modern society that is not going to be dealing with some kind of inflammation, whether it's chronic or acute. It's there because it's unnatural. We're living in a microwave all day long full of toxins. Like, I don't care how you live, you need to be grounding. Like, we're dealing with this, and biologically a human being has never dealt with this. Like, this is brand new to our bodies, to our cells and our biology. And so when you're grounding, you're exchanging electrons with the earth, getting rid of a negative charge, taking on I can almost feel it when I'm just standing out there, that I feel more relaxed the longer I'm standing out there. And when we were living on the homestead, we had a little gathering called the Sunday thing that was all the people that believe weird like we do. We'll just leave it there. And we had one guy who was very yes, we're people that were awakening. We'll say that.
Am I invited?
Yes, please, just be right over. Just take a bike. It'll be fine. But we had a guy in there that was very skeptical about grounding, and he had had knee surgery and he had knee pain all the time. And we were like, look, just try it for a week every day for 20 minutes. He came back to group the next time and he was like, oh my God, my knee pain is gone. He bought a grounding mat for his business because he travels. And now he is running half marathons, I swear to God. Like we were all like, oh my God, you are an infomercial, dude. He was like, this is crazy. So we'd be standing outside and you would see him put his shoes off. Yeah. And I was like, dude, you're weird. Yeah, it's real. So it's a huge deal. And what I love too is all of these things are free. Like, nature is so generous. It's so abundant. Like, you don't have to go buy all the products, guys. Just go outside. It's so beautiful that I love that no one can be held back from that. wherever they are financially or whatever place in life, just find a patch of the earth and stand in it.
Mm-hmm. And have you been in this space long enough, in this circadian and quantum biology space, to honor the cold? Like, where does cold fit in your life?
That's a great question. Last year I would have told you I never want a cold plunge. I think it's unsafe for me. But I think I was still at a more tender place in my nervous system healing.
Yes.
And now, and even last year, like I got a little infrared sauna and I would sit in it religiously and sweat like crazy at 180 degrees for 50 minutes. And I would do that 3 times a week. But now with cold, I have a cold plunge outside. I can tell everybody what that was. It was the ice pod is what I think it was called. Best deal I found. Loved it. It was great. But I sit in there during the middle of my cycle. I don't go in there for my luteal phase or when I'm actually bleeding. And I feel like it's very hormone supportive if you do it in the middle point of your cycle. Now, the temperature, there's a lot of different beliefs about temp. I have found that where I see results, and by results, I mean I feel really invigorated the rest of the day, but in like a calm way, is when I do about 52 to 55 degrees and I go for about 10 to 12 minutes. Colder than that for me just feels like this unbelievably jarring. And again, it's this intuition feeling that it feels like I've been through enough trauma that this feels a little much for me.
And Uncle Jack Cruz, he also recommends like between 50 to 55 degrees as well for most individuals, especially when they're starting out. So that's definitely a great temperature for sure. And it has so many incredible benefits, you know, just beyond like what people think. It's not just for your mental health, right? It increases the brown fat in your body, which is responsible for regulating your thyroid, which is huge. And a lot of people, like especially in the repeat communities, they discredit cold because they believe anything that is a stressor you shouldn't do, and you should eat the carbs and eat the warm foods and, you know, kind of do all the things that make you feel good. But sometimes you got to do the stuff that actually feels hard because that makes you more resilient, more badass, right? Because, for example, a stressor is great if you have time to adapt from that stressor. So intermittent stress is incredible for the human body. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, but you need to be able to adapt to that stress. If your stress is more than your recovery, as we talked about, like modern living, that is like the stress of life is greater than people's recovery. So the ability to adapt to that stress is killing them. Like you could even argue that even with these non-native EMFs, which are so harmful for us from cell towers, Wi-Fi's everywhere these days, all electronics, if we had opportunity to be away from these EMFs completely, like there isn't a place on the earth where we can be free of EMFs, unfortunately. But in the sea, you can. Because when you're in the sea, it's like a Faraday cage. If you're underneath the water, you're fully grounded. There's no EMF, which is incredible. But if you're not, exactly. The sea is incredible. But if you could have that resting period away from EMFs, I believe that your body would become more resilient against the EMF. And now the EMF now would become more beneficial for you as a stressor rather than a threat. That's my opinion.
No, I fully agree with that. And I think that that what you just said about like, well, we don't want to ever stress our body and the whole repeat theology on that. I'm like, but exercise is a stressor. That is a stressor to when anytime you're raising your heart rate, if you're moving heavy things but I feel so damn good. And it, you know, again, it's like the proof is in how you're going to feel like, it's listen
to your intuition as you are hammering home here on this podcast, which I love because you know, it's more about, you know, you see in this day and age, a lot of people are using all these trackers and all these trackers annoy me so much because you're just looking at something on your wrist, which is like with blue light EMFs and all this, and it's bombarding you with radiation. And then you're relying on this thing to give you some objective, you know, data, and you're not listening to your inner promptings. For example, you're looking at your watch to feel how your heart rate is doing. But if you actually nasal breathed and you connected with your body and you realized how do you feel, then you wouldn't need your damn watch. Of course, it's great for if you're training for something and you want to be consistent and you want to know that you're pushing yourself more every single time that you're training, having some kind of heart rate monitor, which is tracking your data, which doesn't have EMFs coming off it, but it's somehow able to collect your data and you're able to somehow upload it after on a computer, that's perfect. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, most of these devices do produce a lot of EMFs. They're Bluetooth enabled,
Yes.
Wi-Fi enabled, and
Yes.
they're emitting green lights all the time on your wrist. So if you're wearing some kind of watch, at night, and it's all the time putting this green light on your skin, do you think that that's not going to affect your circadian rhythm? It's for sure going to impact your health. But what I'm trying to say here is that people have lost the touch with themselves, with their body, because they're relying on this external source to tell them how they're feeling. Like for example, a lot of people have the Aura ring, which is great because you can actually turn it on flight mode if you want. And so basically, though, they rely on that to tell them how they're going to feel the rest of the day. When they wake up in the morning and they see their sleep score and their sleep score wasn't good. And even though they've done all the biohacks, all the things, use the red lights, got up with sunrise, their sleep score wasn't good. And then that makes them feel like crap because they're just looking at something on a screen that told them that you're not supposed to feel optimal today. You know?
Yes. And I love you saying that too, because I feel like we're so programmed all of the time, and we're so obsessed with information. And I think that's the circadian message is so opposite of that. Like we don't need more information. How do you feel?
No.
Ask yourself. And if you don't know, then get curious about why don't you know? What is standing in the way of you knowing how you feel? Those things need to go away then. Like, I agree with you. I personally, I don't find them helpful because I think it breeds paranoia, and it breeds, again, that the information age. And when 2020 hit, and we won't have to go in there far, but it just became so tribal about the information and the experts. I feel like it did a great disservice to our intuition because people started to think, I can't trust myself. What does this expert say? It's like, you're also an expert on yourself. And we lived out in the country, and I will just say we had a very radically different experience than a lot of friends that were in cities. And so the truth of that whole thing really bore witness to us of like, oh, we're still all functioning out here. You do whatever you're comfortable with. We definitely didn't get any kind of and we lived, we were just fine. And it was during that time that I was like, man, people are obsessed with information as this illusion of safety. Like it is not. And if you don't know your own self, that's very vulnerable. That breeds all kinds of anxiety as well. Like if you don't know, and you deserve to know, and you can know. So
yeah, it's what I say to people all the time during COVID and 2020 and for all of these years that passed where we were, a lot of the world was going in with these lockdowns and all of this programming. I just feel like it was the greatest psychological operation to see if people are actually going to believe what they read on a screen more than what they believe in their immediate environment. And so, for example, if you're someone who lives in the countryside like yourself, where you go outside, you see the sunrise, everything's fine, right? You see your immediate environment, your present environment, you're fully present. You look at the animals, you're grounding, you feel good. It's just another day. You don't even know, you don't even need to know what day it is. It's just another day. Every day is a beautiful day, right?
Yeah.
But if you live in a city and you look at your phone and you need to go somewhere on Monday because you have to have a schedule, and time, I believe, is an illusion, right? Time only exists just to schedule things. So it's just a massive stressor, I feel like, in humans' life, because we've divorced ourselves from real time, which is sort of solar time. Because imagine if you woke up naturally in the wintertime when you're supposed to wake up with the sunrise, instead of waking up in the pitch dark and you need a damn coffee to go to work and do all the things, if you honored that, if you could live more of an entrepreneurial lifestyle or be a farmer or something and just honor the cycles of nature, everybody would just be feeling so much better. But because you have to go against your body's intuition, which is literally telling you stay in bed or wake up, then you are, desynchronizing yourself. And that's the whole deal with the circadian rhythms. It's all about timing. And if the timing in our body is off, then that's when disease begins to manifest, because certain things are supposed to happen at certain times. And if they don't happen at certain times, they either don't happen at all or they happen at wrong times. And this throws the entire system offline, and then we run into all kind of issues. Tell me a little bit about why it's so important for people to grow their own food and just in general, connect with the land?
Yes. So I love this topic. I will say since then, we chose to uproot our family and chase our dream and travel 8 days cross country with 4 kids and 2 dogs and an old Airstream. Sold our regenerative farmstead that was the most lovely thing we had ever been in our life. And now we have 2 little garden beds. But I think it just deepens your relationship with yourself and with the earth when you're watching the magic of a seed go in the ground. And I was just talking to my daughter the other day, like a seed knows what to do. How? Like, how does a seed know what to do? How does a seed
That's
go
so
down
amazing.
and then become something entirely new and life-giving? Like, how does that happen? And so I think when you connect with your food, you begin to find, again, this ritual, this purpose and this gratitude where you're like, I have nourished this and this is nourishing me. And I feel alive. And it's just so ironic that so many of these things cycle you right back out to nature. What are you doing when you're gardening? You're grounding. You're in the
Yes.
light.
Yes.
We haven't even talked about food and changing food based on season and where you are with your
Yes.
latitude. But that was a huge thing, like knowing in the summer we're eating berries and there's more sugar
Mm.
because we have more sunlight. And so our insulin's more easily controlled under more sunlight. And then now it's
Yes.
fall and we go down to the rooty vegetables. And we know that like the shift of that, we're again divorced. And I think it's so sad because when you start to slow down and live that way, it's such a beautiful thing to look forward to. Like I'm so
Yes.
excited for fall to come and to press into the dark and to get cozy. And I was so excited when it was getting warm. I was like, oh yes, I love this. Less clothes on. This is great. Like you just find that childlike wonder. And I think
Yeah.
the idea too, we've just lost our imagination and our play. Like we don't play anymore. And when you're in the soil, it is playful. Like you're growing your
Yes.
food and you're watering it and it's fun. And I mean sometimes it's not fun when you get a weird infestation and you have to make like a southern weird concoction to spray on it because you don't use pesticides, which
Uh-huh.
we put all the diatomaceous earth on it. But it's just there's just such a gratitude. Like I remember just realizing too that it puts kind of like an active rest in your daily life. Like you go out there and there's
Mm.
a stillness. When you're growing your
Yeah.
food, there's a stillness to it. And you're like, I'm sitting out
Yes.
here watching these bees do their thing and they're part of nature and I'm connected to them. And you just
Mm.
begin to feel so much more grateful for yourself and for the
Mm.
land and for the cycle that you're a part of. And
Yes.
I think it's by design that we don't do that. Like, I think that in the 1960s, it was something like 60% of Americans had a garden, and now it's like so sad. I think it's under 10%. I haven't checked that in a while, so don't quote me on it. But it's like, man, do we not see? Do we not see like the rise in the disease and the rise in blue light and taking away the family garden and working hustle culture more hours? Like, are we seeing this?
Mm.
There's something to it.
Yeah, I loved everything that you said there. And I feel like beyond the seasonal eating, which is super important, what you mentioned that, because obviously observing nature teaches you that, oh, a strawberry doesn't grow all year round.
Yeah.
So I shouldn't probably be eating a strawberry. Just because you
Yes.
can find it in the supermarket doesn't mean
Right.
that you should be eating it if it comes from the other side of the world. That's
Yes.
probably not the best thing for you. And as you mentioned, the sunlight and the earth, it all goes in divine timing and synchronicities for the best for you. It literally
Yes.
serves every single living being in that specific environment, in that latitude, in that season. So everything is serving everything in nature. There is this perfect symbiotic relationship, right? We exhale CO2, the plants inhale that CO2 and they exhale
Yeah.
oxygen for us, right? So we are literally exchanging our microbiome with the earth. And
Yeah.
so beyond the synchronicity and eating seasonally, teaching that to people, I think the most important thing that you said was the gratitude that people have towards food when you're growing something of your own, or whether you're even hunting, for example, or fishing. I feel like it gives you another level of respect when you get that food on your plate and you realize that, wow, like I literally made this, and you have
Yeah.
the energy in the food just feels
Yes.
different. And
Yes.
not only does it feel different, it tastes incredible. It
Yes.
tastes like with so much more life force, even if the soil may not be the best where you're growing it, just because you've put this love and care into it and this intention, it's now flourished into something incredible. And I feel like so many people are divorced from their food. They're just stuffing food in their face just for pleasure, but they're not understanding that food is nutrition, food is fuel, food is information for their body. It's not just calories. Yes, calories do matter, especially if you want to lose body fat, but just taking in calories which are empty, meaning are devoid of, micronutrients, minerals, the exclusion zone water, the voltage, the charge. There is no biophoton emission being released from processed food, because processed food are just chemicals put together. So it's not actually even classified as a food. It's just a bunch of calories that your body doesn't really understand. And then we wonder why we gain a ton of weight, right? So yes, this is why it's so important. I feel like just to have this massive gratitude. And I feel as well, when you kill an animal yourself, you have this next level respect. I feel when it comes to animals like, chickens, deer, cow, anything like this, especially big animals, you feel like this massive emotional feeling come over you. And it's this sort of this level of sadness and gratitude and respect all at the same time. And it's just, it's such an overwhelming feeling, and I feel that because people have divorced themselves from this, they don't know like what it takes. And also it's like when something enters your plate, it's almost like you didn't earn it either, emotionally.
Yes. I fully, we had chickens as well, and we had pigs and ducks and turkeys, and we did harvest some of them ourselves. And it felt very like indigenous and sacred. Like we hung them up. We had friends over from that Sunday thing. We said a prayer of gratitude. Like there were tears, and the food was delicious. Like it was so beautiful. And getting back to what we talked about earlier about vibration, like if you kill an animal that you loved and you cared for, or if you pick a strawberry that you grew, the actual vibration that living thing that is going to go into your body gives off is much higher than what you would find in the grocery store. And so you're literally ingesting higher vibration to express higher vibration. And I think that sounds woo-woo, but it's very real. Like what you
it's
just
not
said, the
woo-woo
processed
at
food,
all.
it's dead. It's dead food. Like processed food is dead. So you're eating dead things, hoping to enliven your very alive cells. It doesn't make sense.
Yes. I mean, there's lacking the biophoton emission, what we talked about. It's literally how organic stores know whether something is organic or not. They have a biophoton multiplier or photon multiplier. It's basically a camera which can see like how much light is being emitted by a certain food. This is how they know whether their food is organic or not. And otherwise they don't accept the food in their store. And so basically like this is not woo-woo at all. And especially if you think, for example, fruit and vegetable has so much light. Imagine how much light an animal has that's had their whole life, living a natural lifestyle outdoors and living on a big open pasture, for example, and roaming and doing its thing, versus an animal that was indoors and is more, industrialized. So it's a totally different experience. And especially as you said about that strawberry or that tomato that you pick from your own garden, it's going to retain them photons because you're literally grabbing it from the ground where it was grounding itself, right? It's grounding. So you're eating the grounding. That's what you're eating. You're eating the electrical charge of the earth, which gave the energy for the plant in combination with the sunlight, the perfect recipe to grow your food. And so when you get it from the supermarket, which has been picked how long ago and then sprayed with gases or something when it was unripe and then ripened on the shelf and under artificial blue light, well, even though it might be like, good for you, it's probably not the best for you, even though it's fruit and vegetables.
Yeah. And I will say just a little side note, a little ADHD side note. When we had pigs, we were raising them during the fall and they started eating acorns all over our property, and we would move the fence because we rotationally grazed them. And I just had this moment of like, I cannot believe they're eating all these acorns and walnuts that are falling, and that I would never have known that that's what they would have craved in this season. And now our meat has the local sustenance of the earth where we're living inside of it, as opposed to the soy feed that most pigs get. And it was just like, oh, this is incredible. This is so incredible. And it tastes so good.
Yeah, exactly. As we said
Yeah.
previously, nature just knows what to do. You don't need to
Yeah.
tell it. It just knows intuitively, you know?
Yeah.
So tell me a bit about your business, about what's the name of your business? Like, how did you
Yeah.
come up with it? And maybe where people can find you and reach out to you and work with you if they wish to do so.
Yeah. So in my healing journey, when I jumped all in on circadian health and became a holistic health and life coach, when I was laying outside and I always say naked. That's how we pronounce it in the South. My husband still gets on to me. He's like, babe, the word is naked. It's naked in my heart. It will rain naked in my heart. So as I was doing that and laying out, and there's a whole thing to that, you guys need to look up, just sun your private parts. I'm just saying, you're welcome. Okay.
It's amazing for your hormones.
It is amazing for hormones. So as I was doing that, my friends would text me like, hey, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm being a sun whore. That's what I'm doing. And I'm healing.
Worshiping the sun.
Yes, yes. And so then it became a joke with my clients at the time is they would text me pictures and be like, just being a sun whore, just being a sun whore.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, women are into this like cheekiness. And so when I decided I wanted to do like a circadian movement and I want to offer weight loss and longevity programs alongside just with circadian health. And all my friends are like, you have to name it what you called yourself. Because I've always just kind of been more rebellious. I don't like to follow rules. I don't like people telling me what to do. And they were like, whether people love it or hate it, they'll remember it. They'll remember it. And you'll find your people.
They will. That's for sure.
And so we named it Sunwhore, made it all one word. And I started this April, and it started with a free challenge, like a 30-day challenge where it was just what we've talked about: grounding, sunlight, no blue light. Wow. Seed oil was a big deal in there. We didn't hit on seed oil, but seed oil was the only like food related part of the challenge.
To avoid.
Yes, to avoid seed oil at all costs. And that actually has an oxidative effect in the sunlight on your skin, in your body.
Correct.
And it takes a while to flush out. So as I've been doing it, I'm just trying to teach people in a playful, relatable way and have it be very unaesthetic, to be honest with you. I'm trying to do it in a real way to show people like, I'm just authentic. A person. Yes, I'm just a person and you can do this too. And we wanted to move to a place in the world. Like the South is not as welcoming to things that the Pacific Northwest, where we currently live, are. So that was another thought. We just were like, let's go where there's more people like us. And we're up here we're doing it. So I'm just starting to get on podcasts, and I have this Sunwhore 21-day initiation that'll be coming out in the next month, and that's going to be in a place. Yeah, it'll be just a.
What's your podcast going to be called?
Oh my God, I'm not sure yet. I don't know, and I feel like I'll probably do my own podcast next year. But I'm going to right now work on this initiation, and I have a mighty network that I'm developing where women can come and connect and talk to each other. Men can do it too. My husband's like, call me a sun boy, babe. I'm a sun boy.
I love it. Yeah, I was going to ask you, what do you call guys?
Yeah. And we'll spell boy, B-O-I. I'll send you a hat, a boy.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I would love it.
Yeah. So I'm doing the 21-day initiation, and then there will be a 60-day longevity weight loss program that will come after that. I want to do retreats. I want to do like ethical natural fiber lifestyle brand, Sunwhore towels up and down the West Coast here. Like I have big dreams for it because I believe in it, and
That's
it changed
amazing.
my life.
Yeah.
And I just know it is one of the truest things about being a human being.
Yeah, you just need to follow your heart, and you know what's true, right? When it rings truth in here, and you feel like it's the right thing, you feel like you want to scream it from the rooftops. And I totally get you, right? When you find your passion inside, you just feel like you need to share it with the world, just with everyone. And so, I'm really grateful for you coming on the podcast today. And it was really, really fun to connect with you and meet you in person. Yeah, it was really, really great. And I feel like we have so many more things in common than what we originally thought. We don't know, right, until we start talking. But it's always amazing to meet very like-minded individuals. So I'm really grateful to know you. But it's a shame that we're so far apart. I'm on the other side of the world in Cyprus, which is in Europe. So a very small island in the Mediterranean, but you never know. If we end up in the US, I'll definitely let you know. So where can people find you, connect with you? Do you have a website? Do you have Instagram?
Yes, I'm on Instagram at Nat the Sunwhore, and I have a website that is sunwhore.co. And soon there will be a Mighty Network open that will be the Sunwhore Village. And yeah, just join me because we're waking up, and it's a beautiful thing.
Amazing. If you guys enjoy the topics and guests I bring on the show, I would really appreciate it if you left me a 5-star review on Spotify and also subscribe to Fitness Wisdom Podcast on YouTube as well, as this helps to spread the knowledge and wisdom with the world. Until next time,
This is the Fitness Wisdom Podcast.